Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. We have a question that came into customer service, and this one comes in and it says, "Hello, Ken," referencing my brother Ken, who works in customer service and is also the accountant for the company and helps run golf schools. He says, "You may remember me. I was at one of Don's and your 3-day golf schools in England last year at Selden Park Hotel." I think you all remember that when we did the messages from there with Malcolm Rawl, who's actually doing golf schools again this year, as well as Leo Van Bennekom in Holland. The one at Selden Park, we were right in front of this big, huge, long mansion-looking building that is actually the hotel. That thing must have been 300 or 400 feet long or more. It was just, and like 3 or 4 stories high. It was a really, really fantastic-looking building and quite nice inside also. He goes on to say, "I need help. All of a sudden I am hitting my 9-iron through my wedges straight right and looks like a shank, but it is not." I'm sorry, I had to say the word. He wrote it. All right. We could call it laterals, or sometimes I also call them Hosel rockets. "I am setting up the same way as I would with a 7-iron. PLHR, that was, we know, is preloaded heavy right. Athletic stance, posture, wide knees. So hopefully you can't tell me what I'm doing so wrong all of a sudden." Okay. Well, that comes from Romano. So Romano, I guess the question is that we know we don't want those lateral shots. And in all my times, and that I have seen people hitting laterals when they were the true laterals off the hosel, which that's why I call them hosel rockets. In many cases, it was because of, in fact, almost every case, it was because of too much lower body action. Now, we can have lower body action in a couple different ways. In your case, I think that you could still be doing all of these things, but instead of start driving into the ball enough where you can put the ball into the hosel, you're probably coming in where you're doing all of that, but in trying to avoid it, you're opening up your hands, which will put the club face aimed way out there. You're opening up your hands, or as I call it, under releasing, because the lower hand, I like to always refer to the lower hand as creating the problems of over release or under release, because that's the hand that to me is in perfect alignment with the club face. So whatever the hand does, the face does. All right. And so if you're coming into the ball and your legs are too close to the ball, or you're driving them too much, which gets them too close, if you come in and if you try to release, your hands will very likely bounce off your leg. Right? From this view, you can see that if I'm standing here and I drive my legs too much, or I fire my right side too fast, and I come out in the way, if I'm driving to the ball, say my ball is out here, and I drive my legs too much or come out too fast, as I said, and I could have this hit here if I'm trying to release. What you could do is when you do that, you come in and you open up the face, and as you can see right now, that face is pointing straight there, which has a good chance of rocketing a ball right through one of the windows up there. All right, so that's a big issue. Another thing that could cause it, and I'll point this out, is that sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, is that in a stance we can get to the point where the back foot is under too much, which actually gives us an open stance. As you can see, my feet are at this line rather than being here. And if your foot's under you too much, you have the same problem. As even if you drive the foot at the right time, the fact that it's more under you. And you can still get in a posture and feel pretty well athletically ready here. It's just that the foot's in the wrong place. I mean, normally if we get preloaded heavy right, you're just set up with your lower body left. Your shoulders could be dead square, parallel left of your target, but the leg's coming in a little too close. And when it comes in, your right elbow can actually get and brush your side too much, or brush it pretty good, or even bounce off of it. Or your hands can come pretty close to hitting your knee, and I've seen times where it does ricochet. If you do that, you might even top it or could even whiff it. But to avoid it, you start speeding your hands up faster coming through, and it opens up, and your face and your hands just totally under release, or as I call it, as you can call it, goes wide open, and you can hit a shot pretty much right on the center of the club face, and it might even feel pretty solid. But the ball, instead of going here at the target, is going to start over there someplace. And it's going to be a shank. I mean, I saw a gentleman one time years and years ago. He was hitting chip shots, and he'd get in here and he'd just go like this, and he'd just pick his hands like that, and I mean, he would start jumping up and down and say, "Look where it's going! I'm shanking it! but all the grass stains were right in the center of the golf club. I'm saying, if you were hitting it on the hosel, the grass stain would have been on the hosel. But when it's in the dead center of the golf club where the sweet spot is, and the ball's going right over there, and you can tell just by the sound it wasn't a hosel rocket. It was hitting somewhere near the sweet spot, if not directly on it. It's because of the hands going open. But sometimes you could do just the hands going open. I mean, I could stand here. I'm going to aim this way. I could stand here, and I could just hit the ball and have my hands go like this, and the ball just barely missed the net over there. Okay, so we could get into that, but normally that is always caused because of some incorrectness with the posture, meaning the back foot is under you too much, a little too close to the ball, so that would make your feet, your toe line open to your aiming line. Say that's my aiming line right here, the outside of the mat, and I'd be a little bit open, and so that will affect the knee coming in. Just making a normal swing, the knee could be too close. You can be firing too quick, or you could have a perfectly narrow parallel stance like this is pretty much right now, and still fire the knee too much, which could mean you could be starting your downswing by spinning your hips too fast, and that can get you in the way and get the face wide open. So again, from this view, boom, that could be what's happening. You're under releasing the right hand, but the key is, why is it happening? And normally we could say, just like all other things, the setup determines the motion. Stop by looking at your setup and make sure that your feet are in the right place, parallel left if you're a right-hander, and then with that, check that you're starting your downswing with the lateral left shift, the bump, which is lateral left shift, and that you're at impact. We're more in this position. We're not like this, like you see so many rotational players do, because they turn so fast they have to get the hips out of the way too soon, and that's why, remember, they're hitting lag, drag, hold blocks. We're trying to release. So you get into that issue where the right side's firing too fast, and the knee's going too soon, and the knee's getting away, and you're causing your hands to go under release like that. You'll be hitting those shots out to the right. And the reason why I'm saying this, as you said, it's just a 9-iron through wedges. I think this is more easily happens with the shorter clubs, because the shorter clubs are more vertical, and you're technically standing as close to the ball as you're ever going to stand with any club in your bag. You're 9-iron through your wedges, and so it's very easy to let all of this stuff start happening. All right, as compared to when the clubs get longer and a little bit more flat and you're farther away. All right, hopefully this answers your question, Romano, and anybody else that might have had these issues now and then. It's nothing I don't see a lot of, but when I do, people are really frustrated and pretty much at wit's end. So hopefully this will get you out of that, and you get back hitting it solid and straight again, right where you want it to go. That's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking to y'all again soon.